You were told to be good, to be kind, to be fair, and you believed it. You believed that if you played by the rules, life would reward you, that integrity would shield you, that decency would elevate you. But what if that belief wasn't wisdom, but programming? Niccolò Machiavelli didn't write for the comfortable. He wrote for those who were either in power or wanted to understand how power truly operates. And the first truth he exposes is this: naive goodness is a trap, a beautiful, disarming, self-sabotaging trap. In his world, which is our world, just stripped of illusions, goodness without strategy invites betrayal. Kindness without discernment invites abuse. Honesty without foresight invites destruction. He watched with brutal clarity as leaders who led with their hearts were crushed by those who led with their hands and their minds. He saw rulers fall, not because they were bad, but because they were blind, because they believed that their moral compass would be enough in a world dominated by wolves. Naive goodness isn't just ineffective, it's dangerous. It lulls you into passivity. It convinces you to lay down your sword. And then, when the attack comes, and it always comes, you are unarmed, vulnerable, shocked. You don't lose because you're bad. You lose because you weren't prepared to protect your good. In this act, we awaken. We stop clinging to the fantasy that the world rewards purity. We begin to see what Machiavelli saw, that reality is harsh, and those who survive it do not depend on virtue alone. They combine it with strength, with cunning, with timing, and with the will to act when most hesitate. To be truly good, you must also be dangerous. Otherwise, your goodness is decoration, not defense. This is the death of the naive and the birth of the strategic soul. You've heard it before. It's the thought that counts. Or, as long as your heart is in the right place, that's all that matters. But is that really true? Or is it the mantra of those who fail and call it noble? Machiavelli would scoff, not because he disdained morality, but because he understood the cost of mistaking intentions for outcomes. In war, politics, and life, it's not your motive that saves your people. It's your action. And action, if it is to be effective, must be informed by reality, not idealism. He lived through a time of betrayal, espionage, shifting alliances, a time not so different from our own, only less polished. He saw that those who led with only their hearts were devoured by those who understood the game. He learned that goodness unaccompanied by wisdom was not virtue, it was weakness. The world does not adjust itself to your sincerity. It responds to your leverage, your strength, your readiness to do what needs to be done, even when it's ugly. This doesn't mean abandoning principles. It means not hiding behind them. A leader, a man, must have a spine, not just a heart. He must know when mercy becomes danger, when honesty becomes naivety, when goodness becomes a liability. True virtue, Machiavelli knew, is not a performance. It is power wrapped in discipline. It is kindness that knows when to say no. It is courage that can strike when the moment demands it. The road to ruin is paved with good intentions that lack teeth. If you want to do good, real good, first, you must understand the terrain and be ready to walk through it with your eyes wide open. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. One of the most misquoted, misunderstood ideas in philosophy. Machiavelli wasn't advocating tyranny. He was acknowledging reality. To be loved is a gift, but it is conditional. Love evaporates under pressure, under hardship, under threat. People love you when you are useful, when you make them feel good. But when you make hard decisions, when you say no, when you protect the long term at the expense of the moment, Love runs. Fear, however, when handled with intelligence, doesn't fade. It maintains order. It ensures respect. It creates space for leadership. Not fear that crushes, but fear that disciplines. Machiavelli didn't dismiss love. He said love was ideal, but fragile. And he warned, if you must choose, choose the one that endures. Fear must never become cruelty. Respect must never become terror. But leaders who are only loved, only liked, only popular, they are servants of the crowd. They bend. They betray themselves to be accepted. And in the end, they are devoured anyway. The wise man seeks both love and fear. But if he must choose, he chooses effectiveness. Because leadership is not a popularity contest. It is a battlefield. And the one who survives is the one who is respected, not the one who is merely adored. In a world that's constantly testing your strength, love is a candle, fear is a fortress, and the truly powerful man builds both, but never forgets which one holds when the storm comes. There is a hidden danger in morality, blindness. Not because morality itself is flawed, but because the way we hold on to it, without context, without timing, without awareness of power, can turn it from a shield into a blindfold. Machiavelli saw this repeatedly. Leaders who clung to principle while their enemies sharpened their swords. Idealists who refused to compromise while pragmatists seized control. Well-meaning reformers who underestimated the appetite of those who feed on naivety. He didn't dismiss ethics. He dismissed naivety. The belief that the world will reward you simply because you are right. Machiavelli's world, much like ours, didn't run on fairness. It ran on force, on cunning, on preparation. And those who lacked these tools, even when morally upright, were swept aside by those who didn't. When goodness ignores danger, it enables evil. When it refuses to act, it gives its power away. And when it trusts that others will do the right thing, it is often betrayed, not because the world is always cruel, but because it is always complex. True moral leadership is not about holding on to ideals, regardless of consequence. It's about knowing when to fight for them, when to defend them, and when to strategically pause for the greater good. This is what Machiavelli meant by effective rule. Not abandoning ethics, but aligning them with reality. If you want to protect the good, you must be strong enough to confront the real. Because blindness in the name of goodness isn't heroic, it's fatal. In the modern mind, there's a tendency to split the world, those who are good and those who are strategic. But Machiavelli rejected this dichotomy. He believed true leadership, true power, true influence comes from synthesis, the fusion of inner virtue with outer strategy. Virtue, for Machiavelli, was not simply moral virtue. It was excellence, effectiveness, a capacity to shape destiny through courage, intelligence, and adaptability. It was the art of knowing when to be gentle and when to be firm, when to yield and when to act. He admired rulers who could bend without breaking, who could speak of peace but prepare for war, who could be compassionate but never naive. Because real leadership is not about appearing good. It's about doing what works to preserve the good. The world doesn't need more saints who are crushed by tyrants. It needs strategic souls, those who can navigate moral terrain with both conscience and competence, who know that timing matters. That public image is a weapon. That emotional intelligence is not softness, it's strategy. To be only good is to be exposed. To be only cunning is to be corrupt. But to merge them, to stand as a force of virtue armed with wisdom, that is power in its highest form. This is the leader Machiavelli envisioned, one who embodies purpose, but is not imprisoned by purity, This is where the mirror turns on you. You've been taught that goodness is the goal, that if you are sincere, patient, ethical, the world will align in your favor. And if it hasn't, you were told to just try harder. But Machiavelli breaks this illusion with one piercing insight. The world is not moved by your virtue alone. You must awaken, not abandon your values, but understand their limits, not cast aside your heart, but surround it with armor. The world is filled with people playing chess while you are trying to play checkers, and sincerity is not enough to protect your king. The good man without awareness becomes a pawn in other people's games, but the good man who sees clearly, who knows when to wait, when to move, when to speak, and when to strike, becomes unbreakable. This is your invitation to stop asking why the world isn't fair, to start preparing for how to shape it, to learn the hidden language of influence, pressure, resistance, to be good but not soft, moral but not blind, awake and ready. Because naive goodness will not save you, but conscious strength, fueled by virtue, sharpened by clarity, just might change the world. And Machiavelli? He wasn't trying to corrupt you. He was trying to arm you with truth, with tools, with the mindset of someone who will no longer be sacrificed for being too good, too soon, in a world that never stops playing.